Everyone, welcome back to the OnBase Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Moody, and today we're very excited to have Sam McKenna with us to talk about redefining sales success, the power of show me, you know me. Sam, thanks for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for having me. Excited to talk about show me, you know me, always.
Yes, me too. I'm pumped to jump in. Before we even do that, you have a very interesting background. We talked a little bit about that before we pressed record. Could you talk to folks about your journey and what led you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, I think much like everybody, I did not grow up wanting to be a salesperson. I was not in my hopes and dreams of being a ballerina and, chimed in there. But ultimately got a job in sales back in 2008. The crash was just happening around us. All sorts of weird things were going on in the market. And I actually got laid off and was then offered a job in sales. And I thought, you know what? No, that sounds terrible because sales still has this reputation, right, of being not a glamorous career. And in fact, it is such a fabulous one. So I actually turned it down at first. I ended up pushing back the hiring manager ended up pushing back and saying, what if we give you an extra $5,000? Would that seal the deal? And I was like, you bet. I was an amazing negotiator even back then. And so started there as an account manager, saw a lot of success, ultimately got hired by another company where I spent 6 years, then got recruited by LinkedIn, another job that even though it was the holy grail for me of places to work, I turned down at first, this time because I thought I would get lost in a sea of employees that worked there. They politely declined my decline. And I ended up getting to work there for 19 months before spinning out and starting Sam Sales. And I think for me, I had seen so much success in sales from breaking every record imaginable, multiple President's Club, Rep of the Year, all of that stuff over and over again. And it was really just by doing things differently. The opposite of basically everything that you're taught to do in sales is what made me successful. So I thought after LinkedIn and my success there, I wonder how many other people I could help if I started my own venture. So the whole goal of Sam Sales was to do 2 or 3 clients, make half the money I made in SaaS and call it a day. And we're now an all-women team of almost 20, over 250 clients and almost 6 years old. So we've done okay so far, but keep it coming.
Oh, that we've done okay so far. Yeah, 20 people, Well, look, going from breaking sales records to thought leader on LinkedIn, I know that it's never a completely linear path or something that you think about, but tell us a little bit more about that transition and journey.
Yeah. I was working at this company in Richmond, Virginia. We had about 25 million in revenue. So we're a small shop. And I would start to talk about these things that I would do in sales with literally 6 minutes of experience. And my CEO or my SVP of sales, people who have come from Dun and Bradstreet, like just storied sales careers would say, that's a great idea. Or I never thought of that. Or then I would have my peers that have been in sales for 5 or 6 years ask me for advice. And I'm like, why the hell are you guys in those leadership seats? Or have you been in sales for so long and you've never thought to do these things? So I thought, you know what, if I can help this team in our tiny company, why don't I post on LinkedIn and start to share there? So very first post I wrote was, believe it or not, about Show Me You Know Me. It was in 2011. Yes, I pulled the data and we have a record of every mind-numbing post I have written on LinkedIn. But it was just really cool because with that very first post, a company reached out. For those of you OGers, you might remember Sales Hacker, which was then acquired by Outreach and is now part of the GTM fund team where I'm an LP. But Sales Hacker reached out and they said, this was a great post. We have a bunch of topics. You want to come and write for us? Here's 6 topics you could write on. And I was like, oh my God, I'll write on all 6. And they were like, slow your roll, Tiger. You can write on 1. Let's see how you do. And then come back. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I got that chance and then I just started to post and post and post. And I thought, the only reason I was doing it was in the age of everybody can be a LinkedIn influencer today. It wasn't about that. I mean, influencers weren't even a thing in 2011, 12, 13. I just wanted to do it to help. But one really cool thing that we saw is that leads started to come from it. Of course, it was never leads for my team ever. But one amazing strategy for those of you who are out there and are posting, try to see what leads do come from your work. So when somebody reaches out and says, we'd love to work with you, who should we talk to? Track that. Make an introduction to the rep and the leader. Keep a list of it. Make a list in Salesforce or in Dynamics. Look to see what pipeline comes of it. That's exactly what I did. Because at the end of the year, imagine you going to your boss and saying, well, I did it again in a more humble way, but I did it again. Crushed my quota, 132%. But also, Because of all the extracurricular activities that I do, I was able to drive $3 million in pipeline, 55 meetings, XYZ, closed won opportunities as a result of my demand generation efforts. Holy hell, what an amazing thing to do for your company. And as you build that brand, people get to know you, they learn how you think, you build a network online, and you carry that with you wherever you go.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And the world gets smaller the more we do that. The world gets very, very small.
Yeah.
Sam, a lot of folks know about buyers first and that approach to sales, but I don't think as many know about manners first. I'd love to hear about how both of those have shaped your success over the years.
Yeah. So I think a lot of organizations think they know buyers first, but it always comes back to sellers first. And I think that that's also why sales has such a bad reputation. I was on the phone with Paul Stancic the other day, who's a partner of Parker Gale, and he said the bar's on the floor. You just need to step over it in sales. I used to say the bar was low, but he said the bar's on the floor. And I'm like, I think that's actually the right way to put it. And so in sales, we don't often think about buyer first. We don't make the investment. We don't do our research. We don't think about them and how we can help them. We just think about asking them BANT, figuring out MedPick, qualifying them for our own opportunity instead of saying, you know what? I'm going to show up to this call and I'm going to see how I can help them solve a challenge. And hopefully it's via what I sell. So that's that buyer first piece, right? Like doing our research. But the manners driven piece, right, is how do we incorporate all these things throughout the process to make them feel like they're having an exceptional process, not just a sales experience. So that show me, you know me piece, doing our research in advance, to me is a manners first approach. It's showing good manners, being prepared for the call. It's showing that we put the time in, right? In appreciation of them giving us time. We're going to do our research. It's thinking about what do we do when we lose the deal? What do most reps do when they lose the deal? Some don't respond at all. Some respond and are argumentative. Some are not polite and say, your loss. We've all been there. We've gotten great responses when we say, hey, we decided to go in a different direction. But to me, gratitude, right, is a manners driven approach. So saying, we really understand. We love your feedback, right? We want to use this as a learning opportunity. What could we have done differently? Is it our product? Was it our sales process? Was it something with our integrations? Like any feedback you can share would help us grow, not make the same mistakes, or improve our product. So even just the gratitude of coming back that way and of showing that you're not defensive, but you're wanting feedback to learn is huge. Or even thinking about something so small that happens every day. We send out these emails to sellers, and sometimes, especially if you do show me, you know me, in your approach, sometimes people respond and they'll say, Chris, thanks for reaching out. Really appreciate it. Now's not the right time, but great email. And then what happens? The seller hits delete and moves on with their lives. You just got a response. You got the thing that you were fighting for every single day, and you couldn't even be bothered to respond and say, thank you so much for responding to my email. So manners first approach, I think, frankly, is less about a focus on you and thinking about the buyer and what you can do to be good, to be gracious, right? And to show up in a different way.
Yeah, I love that. And I think we've all done that. As soon as you said it, I'm sure every single person listening is thinking, oh, yeah, I remember that one great email or great LinkedIn message that did break through. And I opened it and said, I'm not the right person. You should talk to this person. But just that feedback to let people know sales is such a tough job. I think that's a great approach.
We don't think about it as a long game, right? And that's what it is. If you are in tech sales, if you're in SaaS, if you're in marketing, if you're sales tech, that those cross-functional relationships will haunt you or serve you for the rest of your career, right? And odds are you're probably not going to be in, sales tech marketing and then go to pharma sales and then go to semiconductors. You're probably going to stay in that same ecosystem. So think about the relationships you build now, the way you treat people, the things you do when you win or lose the deal. Even just small things like checking in on your buyer after they've closed the deal, right? We have a whole thing where we set a 30 or 60 or 90-day reminder to check in and say, how's it going? Is what you thought you were buying what you actually got? Is the team being responsive? How's implementation going? What do you think of our CS team now? We don't do this at Sam Sales, but at every other company I've worked at, this was something that I did as a rep or that I taught my reps to do because it's uncommon. Once you've signed the deal and it's moved on to an AM or a CSM, what good does that deal do for you anymore? What good does that client do for you? That's exactly when you should go above and beyond, when they have nothing to offer you because they've given you their business, they've signed on, they've made all these promises. No, let's make sure they're actually getting delivery in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I think that's such a great approach. And just your lead in to that made me think about early in my career, someone said, eventually you get to bring all your favorite people back together. And to your point, just remembering that one great email or that one seller who made me feel that I really was a part of their team and they wouldn't let me fail. We can bring the band back together.
Well, and on top of that, there you have, I think, the buyers that are the most critical, the most skeptical, the toughest cookies. If you can impress them, right, they will refer you until they are blue in the face. They will come back to you as often as as they can. And I think also think about the way that you present yourself, the way that you run your business, your operations, anything that you do, right? Think about that really tough, impossible to please client. I think I am that person for many a customer success person. But can you please them? Because if you can, everybody else is going to be a cakewalk. And I think the other thing is that those people like myself who are difficult clients, who are the ones that have enormously high expectations, what also happens is that when those people refer you to other people, those referrals, they're going to know that you're already going to do an amazing job. Because God, if you can make Sam happy, you can make anybody happy.
That sounds like a good t-shirt. If you can make Sam happy, dot, dot, dot. Okay. What is the most defining moment for you that really solidified this approach that you've discussed? Is there one moment where you think, hey, that's the one that sent me in the right direction?
I think I will say one thing is when I got into sales and was really reticent about doing this work, just nervous about how I was going to go about building a book. I remember one of my counterparts had said, you have to remember that these buyers are getting on the phone with you for a reason. It's because they have a challenge, right? They're not doing it for their health. And so I think something in that, right? One, it shifted how I thought about sales because this is really to solve a challenge, not to sell a solution. Again, you hope that it's your solution that you can sell to solve that challenge, but change your lens. That was one thing. The other thing is as I started to aggregate feedback from our buyers, right, of like what they'd been through, what sales was like, who they just got off the phone with, I was like, wow, like the bar really is low, like it's on the ground. So I have built my life around being different. So being different as a friend, being different as a solopreneur, which now I'm not solopreneur, but being different as a spouse, always wanting to just give somebody a different experience one way or the other. So I thought about the same thing for sales. How do I be different? What do they expect? And what can I do differently? And how can I build a brand for myself? I don't know why I want to do that. I don't know why that gives me joy, but that is who I am. I think one other thing that was interesting is the way that we treat each other in corporate America. So there was a defining thing that I can tell you about there that has not only changed the way that I sell, but also changed the way that I shine a light on women and everything that we do at Sam Sales. And I remember getting referred for a role. I got the role. I was in San Francisco for onboarding, and I had sent a message to the person that referred me, another woman on our team who was really successful, and said, "Hey, I just haven't had a chance to properly thank you for referring for me this job. If you have a couple minutes to chat, let me know." So we get on the phone, and I say basically as much, and I said, "If I have questions, along the way as I onboard, et cetera, do you mind if I pick your brain or send you a question, here and there?" And 7:14 in the morning, I remember exactly what I was wearing, where I was standing in San Francisco. And she said, "No, you can't ask me questions. That's what your boss is for. And I also have no intention of seeing you succeed." Which was, incredible to hear as a new, terrified AE trying to make your way in this new company where this person already has an incredible brand. But I think to me, it was so interesting. This is how women still do treat each other a lot of the time. They don't think about how to support each other. They don't think better together. So I think part of, not only how we sell or how we think about how do we support women, how do we tell their bosses that they're doing a great job? How do we say, "Hey, thanks for doing all this work for us. What can we do to be of help to you?" But it changes the way that we support women, hire women, shine a light on them, give back to our community through our women's leadership group. Lots that we do, I think, to just try to better better the profession and better our sales community as a whole.
Yeah, that's a disappointing story. For those not watching the video, my head fell into my lap essentially when you said no. I know here at Demandbase we have a demand buddy program. When everyone starts, it's to pair you with someone that's not your boss to help through any question. And
Right.
yeah, I mean that's such a low bar. To your point, the bar is the floor, right? Just step over the bar. We could do a whole nother episode on that. My brain is wanting to
I'll
just
change
go
my t-shirt
really
for that one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll do a new outfit. We'll do a second episode there. I'm curious with Show Me You Know Me, there are probably some very common mistakes that you think about with sellers because everyone talks about, air quotes for those not on video, personalizing their outreach. But we know that many, 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 many people are depending on AI and tools to do those messages for them, which will eventually be a sea of sameness, right? Everything's going to be similar. But what are some of the biggest mistakes you think about for sellers in regards to Show Me You Know Me?
Yeah, I think the we're in the age of scaled and veiled, as I call it. So we've always been in scaled, right? We can scale everything. We can throw brackets in. We can make it look like I wrote your name in the email. You are welcome, Chris. I made an effort. Zero effort. But now we can veil our efforts as well and make it look like we made an effort when we didn't. So we can pull in snippets from things. We can personalize things. We can speed up through ChatGPT the way we research things about you, and then just say, find 2 or 3 themes about this person, drop in an email and create 6 sequences that look like this and then go. And that's it. And poof, we're done. But I think at the end of the day, what you want to think about is what do you want your brand to be? If you put your name, Sam McKenna, on an email and you send it out, it doesn't matter if you're working for Oracle, it doesn't matter if you're working for GE, but if you put your name on it and then that's the outreach you do you want to be known for that? Do you want to be deceptive? So the thing is, use AI and use ChatGPT to scale your education. So what has Chris spoken on recently? Where has he worked before? What are the things he cares about? Does he have a podcast? What are the themes he talks about? Digest some of those themes. Tell me 3 or 4 of the points that he just mentioned on a recent podcast. Send those to me. Let me listen to them. Maybe I only listened from minute 1038 to 1342, but I listened. Hey, I was catching a portion of your podcast. That's not a lie. You were. And then talk about what it is that you learned. So don't fake it, because what's going to happen is some of those buyers are going to join. They're going to read something wonderful that you wrote about, I don't know, Steph Curry's performance in his last game. The guy's going to get on, or the gal, and she's going to be super excited. She's going to be like, okay, so how long have you been a Warriors fan? And the person's going to say, a Warriors what? And she's going to say, well, you wrote that in your email about Steph's last play. So were you not watching the game? And they're going to scramble and they're going to read their email and the person's going to hang up. So you might be listening right now and objecting to that. If the person responds to my email and I did a scaled and veiled note, I'm obviously going to read the email before I get on the call. You probably won't. And the reason that we say that is when we talk about Show Me You Know Me, and we say you need to do your research before a call. Who are you talking to? What's the company? What do they do? What are their competitors like? What can you find out about them? People say, I don't have time to do that. Even 5 or 6 minutes, I don't have time. So if they don't have time to do that, they probably don't have time to get organized and to look at the emails and make sure that the lies they spewed in the emails to their buyers are fresh in their brain for them to give back out. So that's one thing. I think another thing is we're a little uncomfortable with it because we don't know where to source information. So if I go to Chris's Facebook page, or I go and find like his reviews on Yelp from 2009, that really terrible gas station sushi he ate, should I reference that when I talk to Chris, or is that going to be creepy? So I think that's one mistake, is we don't know where to go, or sometimes we don't use the right language. Like, Chris, if I got on this call and I was like, listen, I have a few things to tell you about your history. I've been stalking your LinkedIn a little bit. You're going to be like, my wife is not going to be appreciative of that comment. And I'll be like, I bet. So thinking about the language that we use can also get it wrong. I think the final thing is this, like, just make an effort. If I was meeting you, Chris, at a conference and you had agreed to give me time to hear about Sam sales, what am I going to do? Am I going to do any research? Am I going to come up cold? And am I going to say, where are you based? How long have you been there? Like, what am I going to say? Or Will I have done my research? Nobody would go into a meeting like that cold. And the ones that do or would probably shouldn't be in sales. So do a little bit of research. How can you form rapport with somebody? How can you build a relationship with somebody? How can you use that in a meaningful way? I'm going to say one more thing and then I'll stop talking. Show me you know me is not just for that first entry point, right? It's from email one to just broker that first date, so to speak, all the way to having our client for decades. So for those of you who are on video, I'm going to scoot over a little bit and you can see a lamp that's sitting behind me and it's sitting atop 3 books. One is a jewelry book and 2 are Porsche books that my mom had. She was a Porsche and a 911 enthusiast. So about a week ago, one of our clients had posted this very long post on LinkedIn all about 24 hours of lemons. It's a race that happens for 24 hours where you drive, you guessed it, not Porsches, but lemons. But he talked about his passion for cars and he talked about joining Porsche Club of America. So I took a picture of our lamp and the books and I sent it to him on Slack and he wrote back, no way. And I said, love these cars. What about you? And he wrote back, here's my Substack all about a 911. And then for the next 30 minutes, we talked about cars. It doesn't have to be, professionally based and it doesn't have to be the very first email. It can be something that you continue to do to develop a relationship with somebody. So look for those threads that you can pull. Show your buyer that they have a love of Porsches and you do as well. And now you have something in common. And it doesn't have to be $150,000 cars. It can be a true crime podcast. It can be bobbleheads that you have of Dumb and Dumber like I do. Whatever it is, you can build a relationship based on it.
Love that. I have a Dumb and Dumber painting downstairs. It's just not visible. I need to move it.
What is it of? What's the scene?
Lloyd and Harry on the bike, on their scooter, which, this is not in my research. You did get a lot of things. I've done blog posts about Steph Curry. I did work at GE, did work at Oracle. I do avoid gas station sushi. But I am in Raleigh, North Carolina. There is a gentleman named Weston who owns a trading card shop called Oak City Sports, and he bought the bike from Dumb and Dumber. That is his possession. So he owns.
Is Weston single? Does he want to marry me? Don't tell me.
He is married with a child named Luca, which I remember. Show me you know me because Luka Doncic, right? But yeah, to your point, I mean, our life. It's all about these stories. I think we can all resonate. We remember stories. You want someone to take the time to get to know you. It does stand out. Yeah. You may want to hire that sales rep eventually. I would love to hear about your favorite example where Show Me You Know Me has led to closing a major deal or building a long-lasting partnership. Because if we're stereotypical here, sellers like to follow the money. So what's your favorite story there?
I think here's something just really cute that you can use. So day-to-day example that you might run into. You have clients who say things like, for us, we had somebody say, we're going to have to come back to you. We're getting our ducks in a row on your proposal and everything else you're doing. We'll hit you back. We had somebody else who said, same exact thing. We're trying to move a few boulders out of our way. We'll hit you back. Well, ducks and moving boulders, right, are tangible things. So don't send, a flock of geese to their office, but we send a $15 bag of rubber duckies to a guy's office. The ducks in a row guy got that. And he was like, what the hell is this? And we're like, just a little visual for you to get your ducks in a row, right? And obviously the note card that accompanied it said exactly that. Brings it home to his daughters, right? They have these ducks. He probably thinks of us every single time. Boulders, we found a Sam Sales orange Tonka truck, whatever the hell it is, the trucks that move boulders out of your way. And we sent it a little something to get those boulders out of your way a little bit more easily. Listen to what they talk about with particular books. So are they talking about, somebody just mentioned Unreasonable Hospitality on LinkedIn over the weekend. I had my entire team read that book, love that book, really fantastic. Even the name of that book makes my heart race. So send that to them. And by the way, take one extra step. Don't Amazon it to them. First, support small bookstores for the love of God. So buy from a small bookstore, and one extra step, mail it to yourself. Why? Because then instead of the cheesy handwritten note card, you're going to get to write your own note card, bundle it up, pack it up, and send it on your way. So speed sometimes counts, and you just want to get the book to them right away. Other times, just do small things like that. I think to me, it's about listening. Oh, I'm going to tell you one more. VP of marketing for a $5-6 billion global company. We just sent her 3 books. So 1, Unreasonable Hospitality, two, a book called We Dream in Gold, which talks about jazz, music, and travel, three things she loves. And then the third was a wonderful book that I just heard good things about called The Women that I thought she'd appreciate. Plus, we had a Shinola notebook customized with her initials, and we've heard her reference of how she journals, and she calls it her talk book. Just listen. Your buyers are giving you all of their clues, right? So when we put those four books together, the three books and the notebook, and we say something for you to read, something to drive your passion on this, and a new talk book for when you fill the other one out. How do you think that person is going to feel? Well, the person sent us an immediate picture when she got the books, and was like, oh my gosh. And the next picture was of her tattered copy of Unreasonable Hospitality. So she already had it and she loved it. So now we've given her a gift that she can give out to somebody else. Those things matter. And I'll tell you, they never cease to make people feel seen. One more, and then I'll stop talking. If you are on LinkedIn, there's a gentleman by the name of Riley Blaisdell that posts quite a bit on LinkedIn. And you might have seen him because sometimes he posts and he says, here are the women that I follow. And there's like 42 women he tags over and over and over again. Well, I met Riley for the very first time at SaaStr when I was pregnant with my little boy, Alex. And Riley showed up with custom made onesies, all around Show Me You Know Me, pineapples and things like that. I have nothing to do for him. I can't hire him. I'm not even in his space. There's absolutely nothing I can do for him. But he just took the time to say, you made an impression on me and I just wanted to do something to say thanks. So even when there are no dollars to follow, think about how that sets you up and the reputation it builds for you. And then people talk about you on podcasts.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm going to talk about two right now, just based on that. Before I even ask the next question,
let's hear it.
Number one, we had Alan Stein Jr. speak at our revenue kickoff. I've known Alan a long time. He knows I'm a huge Duke basketball fan. He's actually doing the Duke fantasy basketball camp this year that I did in 2022. But after the event, he also knows I wear size 15 shoes and have wide feet, which makes it very difficult to find cool shoes because most Nikes are super narrow. So at my doorstep, it was a pair of Duke blue Jordans that run wide in size 15. And now
That's
every time I wear those humongous big ass shoes, I think of Alan, right? Every time I put them on my feet. And I just ordered the high top version for my 13-year-old for his formal because he wants to have cool shoes to go with his suit, you know. And then the other, to your point of just standing out, very little monetary value, but something I mailed myself, which was a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah.
But I sent fruit cakes.
Oh.
And there's a very specific reason. Everyone's probably going, fruit cakes? What
Jesus, why?
Doing? So we did a content piece when it was Oracle Marketing Cloud. We had been acquired and it was on repurposing your content. And we were going, regifting. And it was near the holidays. And to 6 different influencers sent a fruitcake. I had a card thanking them, and I wrote a wrong name intentionally. So it would say Chris, comma, and then I'd mark it out and put Ann for Ann Handley. And then it said, hey, if you'd like to regift this, we'll cover the shipping. Please feel free to regift it to someone of your choice. And for years, these fruitcakes went out. And now every time I see some of the people, they'll go, usually with expletives, I got a fruitcake on my doorstep for you. And randomly, it was probably 4 years after that, the 4th holiday season, someone sent me a picture and said, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But to your point, I spent $200 on shipping and fruitcakes, but it was intentionally to do something different, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And like a good viral campaign for nobody's gonna send maybe just like the generic, like, oh, I got a Yeti cup. Thanks, guys. They're gonna send the fruitcake. And then if people are gonna comment and be like, oh my God, I hate fruitcake. Also, I wish I had known about the Duke love earlier, because this Kentucky Wildcat fan would have said no to this podcast. So terrible on me for the lack of Show Me You Know Me.
Yeah, I have Christian Leitner on this poster. You're really going to hate that. For those who don't know, we won't go into that.
No, we have to. It's a great Show Me You Know Me. Okay, let me tell you this real quick.
Christian Leitner's very famous for hitting the shot against Kentucky, but he also foot stomped a player and kind of built his name and infamy for being a dirty, typical air quotes typical Duke player, but I had leukemia as a kid, 2.5. I was treated at Duke Hospital. I was carried into the locker room by Jay Billis, and Coach K sent me a poster when I'd been in remission for 5 years, and it's the championship team with Christian Laettner, so it's signed right there. And then there were tickets to Duke Carolina in that package, sitting on the front row on the floor. So
Chris,
allegiances are very strong in college sports, and we can agree to disagree, but both teams are great now. My favorite account rep is a big Kentucky fan too.
Now I need to know who this person is, but this is a beautiful, beautiful time. We should just close the podcast on this, because I'll tell you where this is now the second time that Christian Laettner has bit me in the ass with Show Me You Know Me. Yours here. Of course, I'm like, oh, Duke sucks. And you're like, let me tell you about when I had leukemia. And I'm like, good, let me see myself out, asshole that I am. So we've got that. The first piece on this was I am a Kentucky basketball fan by marriage. So I have to be, because that's where my husband went to school, to law school and to grad school. And so I was interviewing with John Mayhall at LinkedIn. I mentioned earlier that I had said no to the very first offer that I had at LinkedIn was with John Mayhall. And Mayhall went to Duke for his grad degree. And so I went to my husband and I was like, what do I say? What's my Show Me You Know Me on Duke? Tell me this stuff. And he says, okay, when you get on the call, just say, I hate Christian Laettner. And I'm just supposed to tell you, lead with that. Yep. And so John's self-described introvert. And so John goes, okay, on Zoom. And I'm like, oh my God, not getting the job. He thinks I'm a total weirdo. Oh my God, he didn't react the right way. Go under my chair immediately. And I was like, oh, and I'm like, well, you went to Duke, right? And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, but I went for my master's degree. So I don't really like bleed blue like everybody else. And I'm like, okay. Panicked. And so in the end, have a great interview. I decided to bow out of the process, and he sends me an email and he says, was it because I went to Duke? In the subject line. Phenomenal. But now that's twice that Christian Laettner has screwed me on Show Me You Know Me. So there you have it.
We'll have to find a third. I will refer you to someone and just not tell you, and then I'll let you figure it out. So there you go. There's our thread. There's our fruitcake. We will continue the Christian Laettner thing. If I'm a seller today and I'm busy and I have to hit pipeline and the world is crazy and all my buyers are ignoring me, what is something we could do today to start to implement Show Me You Know Me?
Yeah. So find 50 people that you want to get in front of, and whoever those people are, go skip level. So if you are targeting a director, senior director, go to their boss's boss. So skip level boss, find that person. Chances are that person is going to be involved in your deal at some point. Budget approval, integrations approval, IT stuff, whatever it is, that person's going to be involved. So why not just go right to the top? Why? Because we're scared. Don't be scared. Jump off the high dive. So find 50 people, find those skip levels you want to go after. And Monday through Wednesday, write your Show Me You Know Me emails, but don't send them. So number one, we're lowering the quantity that you're sending. It's only 50, which I know might be terrifying. Second, we're only going to write these in draft or throw them into your sales loft cadences and then wait. And then you want to time them out for Thursday and Friday. The thing that you're going to do with that today on Thursday or Friday is you're going to send it out at a less busy time, but it's not really the key that's important. Because you write these great, hopefully, subject lines that are Show Me You Know Me. And if you don't know what those are, go and look up the hashtag Show Me You Know Me and learn how to do this. But the subject lines are basically super funky. So if I was going to write to Chris, I'm going to write size 15 plus Christian Laettner plus hashtag Sam Sales. And he's going to be like, I know the first two. Absolutely no idea what the hell the third thing is, but I'm going to open up the email because I'm intrigued. So if you write this funky subject line that makes no sense except to the person that's receiving it, the odds are it's going to get opened. That's the first line of defense. Doesn't matter if you're offering $1 million. Doesn't matter if you're offering Harry and Lloyd's trike from Dumb and Dumber in the email. If we can't get it open, nothing's going to matter. So make sure it gets open. We want to get them to open it. We want them to get them to read it. Will they respond? Maybe. Most likely not. And even if they read the email and they're like, this is really smart, what's going to happen next? Zoom meeting starts, Slack comes in, email pops in, distracted, they've forgotten about you. So the next thing you want to do is the weekend email. I'll close out with that note is to send the follow-up. Less than 48 hours after the first, which means Thursday, it goes on Saturday. Friday, stay with me now, goes out on Sunday. And then all you're going to say is, hey, Chris, Wanted to see if you had a chance to read my note below. If you're up for a chat, still be grateful for the chance to chat with you about how Sam Sales can help you. Grateful for, appreciative of the chance to chat with you about how we can help. No, I'd love to. Remove your salesy language, right? Just change it. Plus, you sucker them into responding when you say you'd be grateful for or appreciative of the chance to chat, right? Like, way to Jedi mind trick them. But what's going to happen, right, is you're going to spend your time working smart. So Monday through Wednesday, research. Friday and Saturday, Thursday and Friday, emails go out to 50 different people. Saturday and Sunday, 50 people get replies. And think about most executives, right? We have the weekends, we're chasing kids around, we're hanging out at a vineyard, drinking with our friends, just me, and doing that while chasing our kids around. We have time to be on our phones, to scroll, right? To be distracted while we're at the 19th hockey game of the day. So that's usually when people are going to respond, especially if you've made an effort, stood out with that funky subject line, and you're timing the email to catch them at a time where they're less distracted and certainly less distracted with work stuff. One more note there. People are often, sometimes a little fussy about weekend emails. Oh, it feels like really, offensive and getting in their time. It's not like we're cold calling them on the weekend, dear God, right? But executives work on the weekends. Skip level executives work on the weekends. On average, we work 7 hours a weekend as executives. Super fun. Be a leader. But so it's not like you're invading their personal time, and they don't have to respond to you if they don't want to, but your email will stick out in their mind.
Love it. Great stuff there. This has been such an action-packed episode. I feel like we should have done 2 or 3, all with different outfits.
Right?
Next time we'll wear Duke and Kentucky stuff. We will have to do a part 2 where we wear that. Just not around any important game, because that's another thing. If you know someone really keeps up with college basketball, when their team loses, don't send an email. Like, there's just no way when your team loses in the tournament. There's just no way to make that good. So that would be my show me you know me. Don't.
That's your pro tip.
Yeah, because everyone's in mourning. I mean, especially college basketball now, which is a whole different podcast. But teams flip over every single year. So we're going to enter the lightning round. We're going to do some really quick ones to close out, so we have time to write some of these personal emails today. What is the biggest sales challenge in B2B today?
The biggest sales challenge is that you are competing with everybody else for the same dollars that you used to not compete with them for. Everyone is trying to be everything to everybody these days. So the $100,000 you used to compete with 2 or 3 other people that were in your space is now you competing with 10 or 20 other people. Also, the fact that so many deals end in no decision. So you waste all this time with buyers because we're not prescriptive enough. We don't understand how to prove value. We don't understand the so what of our product. So our process is so hyper inefficient today because of that indecision.
Love it. Favorite tech, tools, technology. What are you using today that's really important to you?
I'll shout out for LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you cut one arm of mine, it's orange for Sam Sales, and the other arm is always going to bleed, sadly, LinkedIn blue. You probably don't know how to use LinkedIn Sales Navigator, which is why you don't use it. The majority of users don't understand how to use it most effectively. So if you have a challenge with that, give a shout, but it is the most effective prospecting tool that you have. It's so, so powerful. You just need to know how to use it to sell.
Love it. And I will say LinkedIn Blue is closer to Duke Blue than UNC. Duke and Kentucky are closer. So
they're closer.
I think we can just pick on the Tar Heels for this one. So
it cuts deep.
Yeah. We'll do that. What about good reads? You hit on a few books earlier that are under your lamp. I do recall that. But what are some of your favorite books, blogs, newsletters, podcasts?
I love newsletter. I will always read the Deal Book by the New York Times. If you don't read that, really great. Morning Brew, I also love because they're humorous as well. I will always read Kyle Pointer's newsletter. If you don't read it, it's really fantastic. You will learn something every single time. HBR Women at Work is a fantastic podcast. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts because I feel like this is going to sound unkind. They're a waste of time. In that, I don't feel like I learn a lot for the time that I invest. I want to walk away with 2 or 3 or 4 really thought-changing ideas from those podcasts, but that one will do it for you. Radical Candor, An Oldie But a Goodie by Kim Scott. Unreasonable Hospitality, fantastic. Loved reading Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, and you'll see a lot of brands you recognize. And finally, if you don't follow Todd Capone with the very exciting title of The Sales Historian that he calls himself on LinkedIn, pick up both of his books. So Transparency Sale and Transparency Leader, Transparent Leader, I think it is, not Transparency Leader. But read those books. I have both of them and they're filled with margin notes. In fact, I think I texted him to yell at him about how long it was taking me to read his book because I kept stopping to make notes. So hopefully some good nerd out content there.
Yeah, outstanding. Great recommendations. I feel like you established our hook for the promotion of this too. Was this podcast a waste of time? Hashtag Sam Sales.
Do it, Chris. Do it. You have my full permission. I think that'll be the clickbait we need.
I do a lot of these. This one's not a waste. I mean, none of them are ever.
I don't even think it should be a question. It should just be, this podcast will be a waste of your time with Chris and Sam McKenna.
Yeah, want to waste 40 minutes and counting with
we got the episode for you.
we need to figure out some viral hook there. Let's do it. Okay. What about people? Who inspires you in B2B especially, but you can go anywhere with it?
I'm going to go, I think Jen Allen is super inspiring. I think she does I'm going to leave it with Jen, She does a phenomenal job with her content. She's incredibly authentic. She's a good human and just smart. She has a brain, and just tons of experience behind her. So I'll shout out for Jen.
And how great is the name Demand Gen?
I mean, it's
right? So good.
We demand Jen. I think the origin story is a little different. She posted about it recently, but just great.
I know the marketers are going to make it their own, right? Like this Demand Gen, she used to be named account based.
That's right. And better, I don't think you have the play on words with her that you do for Sam Sales, which is Sam Smells. I get that sometimes. Sam Shorts. Sometimes people change out the vowels in there. They're really. I'll let your creative brain go.
Yeah, I'll come up with my own too. I'll spend some flight time on that this evening. Okay, most important question of all. You made it. Very last one. How can everyone get in touch with you after this episode?
Pop over to find me on LinkedIn. Please say hello there. Most impactful thing you can do for our content and for other people, by the way, is drop comments in and tag your friends. So if you have content creators that you love, please do that. Otherwise, pop over to our website. We have free webinars, our women's group, subscriptions that you can buy to short circuit your learning of everything that you want to learn about with sales and LinkedIn. But just come say hello. We'd be lucky to have you.
Love it. It was an absolute pleasure, Sam. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Pat.